Good afternoon, and how are you? I start this humble video with a quote from Richard Dawkins, the atheist, scientist, orator, and philosopher. Richard Dawkins, in his quote and his speech, he said, "There is nothing wrong with peace and love." This is what Richard Dawkins says. There is nothing wrong with peace and love. It is all the more regrettable that so many Christ followers seems to disagree. It's a beautiful quote from this atheist who, on the one hand, is paying homage to world peace and world love, using the principles of the founder and the source as an essence of Christianity. And yet Richard Dawkins do not believe in Jesus. Richard Dawkins is quoting and using a principal character out of context. If Richard Dawkins really believed in the words of Jesus, Richard Dawkins would listen also to what Jesus said about himself. So he doesn't really believe in Jesus. Richard Dawkins is exploiting Christianity for his own ends. Which brings me quite beautifully to my argument in this video, and that is, the term phobia has been loosely exploited and used, just like Richard Dawkins with his quote. Everyone likes to use the word phobia. If I said, look, I want you to buy my car, my beautiful convertible, which I bought, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, I bought a lovely convertible. Beautiful. I can't wait till summer to try it out. However, I'm not one of those who drives a convertible in the winter when it's cold outside, the roof is down. I think you're nuts. However, if I said, look, I'm going to sell you my convertible because the convertible is faulty or something and I want to get rid of it, and you said, I'm not interested, so what do I say? You're car phobic, you're convertible phobic, you hate cars. And thus the terminology phobia has been utilized and used, just like the term bigot and Nazi. People, they hijack these terms because the political powers that be have borrowed wickedly languages from history and brought it into the present moment in which to abuse, mentally abuse people who dare to have any opinion on any subject. The title of my video is called "There is no such thing as Islamophobia, but there's no such thing as LGBT phobia." And I will tell you why. What is a phobia? A phobia is something that is irrational, where your fear is unfounded. Okay? Let me give you an example of a phobia. When I was 7 years old, I fell down the landing of the staircase because I could never understood, why do I have a fear of heights? I can't stand heights, and that's irrational. But when you look back, I began to realize, as I started to venture out on my spiritual journey, that the reason why I fear heights is because when I was 7 years old, I fell down from the railing. There was a source to it, and I should have been dead. So there's a source to every fear. If it's irrational on the conscious level, then you can find the source if you go back in time. So phobia means something that is irrational, something that they call hate. Now that has been added recently. Phobia did not mean hate in the original dictionary. Phobia is a fear. It was a fear. But what the political correctness agenda has done is put hate into it. In other words, if you hate immorality, if you hate fornication, if you hate adultery, if you hate sodomy, if you hate pedophiles, then you are phobic. You're hate phobic. You're pedophobic. You're LGBT phobic. And that becomes dangerous, because when you start to put a phobia onto everything, it makes the world of mind science, psychology and psychiatry a goddamn joke. You can't take these psychologists seriously. Just a minute, I got a phone call. Oh, I'll have to leave it. Sorry about that. Right, I was going to do a bit of a joke, but I haven't got my phone around me. Anyway, however, it makes the world of psychiatry a joke. Okay? Why? Because the world of psychiatry, which is a medical diagnosis for a genuine phobia, a fear of open spaces, agoraphobia, or a fear of heights, they've now moved it into the political mainstream. How do they control you? They pretend it's a psychological medical diagnosis. Hence, when Muslims are trying to kill you, in the Quran, chapter 10, chapter 3, chapter 5, chapter 2, in Surah, I've memorized these texts. Brutal. Chapter 10 is the worst. Surah 10 is worse, and Surah 5:33, Surah 2, all I commit to memory. When he says, do not take for friends those who call themselves Christians. Do not have them as friends. Maim means a strong word. They're not holding back. Maim and crucify. The infidels wherever you find them. Gouge out their eyes. Kill them, stab them, boil them. They're in the Quran. I'm not making these up. Surah 10, Surah 5:33, Surah 2, you find them. And Surah 9, I must forget Surah 9. You find all these brutal texts. Is that a phobia? I'm only quoting from the Muslim own source. When Muslims are reenacting and acting out what their religion teaches, how then, when you are concerned about their religion and their threat they've made to you, how is that a phobia? Any lawyers, any psychologist, or even the government spies who are watching this video, and I know there's many who watch this video because there's algorithms and people who are silent, and I know there's people watching this video from these official government. I'm challenging you, please. Why don't you do something honest for once? Why don't you prosecute me? Do something honest. For any video I've made that I couldn't back up, whether historically, whether medically, whether politically, whether philosophically, anything, or spiritually, or even legally. As I said, and I quote, you must now demonstrate to me, but just because something is made law doesn't make it right. Because the law in history and today have always been abused and unjust. Even the rich people used the laws to oppress. In 1300s, the vagrancy laws. So if you want to talk about legality, let's take a journey down that field. Just because a law is made doesn't make it right, because the law must be spiritual and the law must not oppress. There is nothing where in the medical terminology, where Islamophobia should have even entered into political arena field. But the reason why this happened is because of the love of oil and indeed the attack on Christianity. It's interesting, there is no such thing as Christ phobia. There is no such thing as Jesus phobia. There is no such thing as church phobia. If you're like Richard Dawkins, you can slander the church. If you're Muslim, you can slander the church. If you're hardcore feminist, you can slander the church. If you're an LGBT, you can beat up pastors, set fires to churches, and you're not called a Jesus phobia. Think about that for a second. I hope you love me as much as I love you, because the information I'm giving you is to heal you and let you realize how you've been brainwashed. They're using the laws and false medical diagnoses in which to control you. I repeat, they're using the laws to brainwash you, using language to restrict you. And they know what they're doing. If you use language, you can change people's behavior, change the way they think. Do you know how many young people now under the ages of 25 use the word phobia, phobia? They really believe it. They've never ever used their power of their intelligence to think, wait there, what is phobia? What really does it mean? When someone's trying to kill you, when somebody tried to commit political, philosophical genocide on you, if you dare show concern, you're Islamophobia. It's going to be a short video because people have been complaining, saying my videos have been too long. Anyway, tomorrow is my weighing day, so if you can tell me whether I've lost more weight or not. I'm looking so beautiful. Oh, look at me, look at my chiseled jaws. I should be a model. I really should. I'm really wasted. I should be doing a catwalk in my high heels. Anyway, it's weekend, so hopefully tomorrow I will have some a different topic for the weekend. I want to, for weekend reserve subjects on how political correctness has destroyed modern relationships, things like that, and maybe post some beautiful music of me singing and playing. So enjoy your Friday. Thank you.